Videos for all my running friends out there, anyone dealing with any stability or balance issues. A lot of the times the cause of that could be a tight IT band. And so let's dive into this. For those of you who don't know what an IT band is, it stands for iliotibial band. So it starts right at the iliacus, which is that muscle that connects the iliac crest here, this big hip bone in the side, and it goes down the side of the leg, sort of into the knee, and attaches to this bone down here, right at the top of the tibia, which is a knee bone, hence iliotibial band. But even more than that, if anybody who follows Thomas Myers and the anatomy trains, the connective tissue that connects this IT band or surrounds this IT band continues all the way down to the foot. And at the same time, in the opposite direction, it continues all the way up the side. It affects lateral motion. It even attaches to the inner obliques and runs up the side of the body. And so important that we don't get super, super tight here. And the IT band is actually just a band of connective tissue or fascia and tendons that kind of form this. So it's not a muscle in particular, but when it does get tight, especially in running, it can help us, or it can affect our running gait as we sort of overpronate, or it rotates this femur bone outward, it turns the toes outward, and it creates tension here at the side of the knee as well. It can create popping inside of the knee, cracking going on. So a lot of the effects that we have are due to an IT band, but we can't talk just about the IT band without talking about the bigger muscles that actually connect to the IT band, or specifically in this case to the top of the IT band. So we have the TFL here right at the top of the hip that also forks back to the glute max and attaches right to the top of the IT band. The glute max as well also attaches to that IT band. So if these muscles are tight, then it's going to create a lot of tension and less mobility in that IT band, where we really want it to be able to slide a little bit back and forth as we go out there and we run. So we have to kind of, starting off today, I want to release that tension up here towards the TFL and back towards the glute max. So we're going to start off with a stretch, then we're going to grab one of the tools that I like to use. So meet me on the floor and let's get started. In order to get into this actual stretch, we're just going to step the right foot forward all the way to the hands, right? We could slide this back leg back. And we can stay up here. We can stay up with the knee off the ground. We can also place it down depending on you. Now, this is going to stretch some of the adductors, the gracilis, the groin muscles on the inner leg line, but that's not the purpose of this stretch. So we want to get into this glute max and this outer hip here into the IT band. So we're going to begin to make our way down onto our wrists or our forearms, and just allow this leg to fall out slightly, trying to keep the toes, so all 5 toes, on the ground, so we're not turning onto the ankle side, but we're just stretching and getting into this right hip side. And if that becomes too much, you just come out, or you start to make some little circles with the knee and the hip, so that you can just create a little bit of movement, telling the nervous system that everything's okay here as we do come into the stretch, and then begin making your way down as much as you can, really releasing some of that. And once we get down here, we're just going to allow the knee to fall out and then come back to the shoulder. So it'll fall out We start to extend it just a little bit, maybe counting to just a 2 count, right? Let it fall out for 1, 2, and then back in. Let it fall out for 1, 2, back in. We can begin to extend that a little bit, maybe to a 3 or a 4 count, depending on how much you can take as we work out this right side hip. We're going to do that for about 10 to 15 rounds of that. So we should eventually be there for a total of a minute or so. If you add up each round that we're coming in and out of this. And again, just come out as you need. Keep that knee lifted if you choose, or place it on the ground. Sometimes it just feels nicer not to have the knee pressing on the earth, especially if you have sensitive knees or the ground's hard. And so the last time that we let the knee fall out, we're just going to stay there and breathe into this for about 10 seconds. Take a deep breath in. And then we'll just come out, dropping the knee down, coming out of that pose, and get up for a moment. Shake it out, walk around. Notice the difference between the right and the left side. We're going to do the same thing with the second side, so we just step the left leg there, and we just start to make our way down nice and easy here, inside, lowering down to the wrists or the forearms if we can. And just notice the difference between one side versus the next. If you were ever a pitcher in baseball, you are probably very asymmetrical or very different from one side to the next, right? You use one leg to plant with, one arm to throw with. You're probably super tight on one side and less tight on the other. So as we start to explore this, we're just moving that knee out now for 2 and then bringing it back to the shoulder. So just continuing this, moving the knee out. So we count to 1, 2, and then back in. As you continue this, that back leg, we just turn the hip downwards, right? This should also open up that hip crest on the other side. Right, letting this left knee fall out for 1, 2, and back in. And seeing if you could keep these toes on the mat, right? So we're not rolling to the ankle. But the toes, all 5 toes are on the ground. We're coming as low as you choose here. Making sure that we're always mobile from here, so we always should be able to come out from any stretch on this channel. We should never get stuck, right? You could always circle the hip a few times if it becomes too much. And once we do that about 15 times, we finally let the knee fall out. We hold here for about 10 seconds. Then we just come out of that pose, placing the knees down, sitting back on the heels, or again walking that out. Just notice the difference that we made on both sides. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to come into a little bit of that IT band into the TFL. I'm going to grab my trusty balls here. We can start with a single ball. And that's what we'll do actually. We'll start with, I'll grab the bigger ball because I want to come into the glute muscle just a little bit more here. So all I do is take this ball, place it under the glute max. Now, if you don't know where that is, it's in the butt. It's the biggest muscle in the body, so it's not hard to find. And as long as you're pressing in the butt, right, it's just supposed to be soft tissue, so it should be fine, and very hard to hurt yourself by doing this. And just find that tender spot, wherever it may be. And once you find it, just pause and don't rush to go by it, but just take your time to go into it, go through it, and breathe. And just remember, muscle is actually supposed to be soft, not supposed to be rock hard. And so we try to breathe, just deep breaths in, and on the exhale, see if you can soften a little bit more around that ball. And notice sometimes you may just open up a little bit. It may break up the tissues. You may soften significantly. And so we stay there for as long as we choose, depending on how tight you are in that glue. Then we'll go ahead and grab the ball's inner pouch. And so from here, I'm just going to place these below the hip bone, okay? So it's going to be on the side here. Kind of the IT band runs here. So we want to come from the underside slightly and go cross fiber, even up to the quad, to the top of the leg. So just going to place it there. I'm going to roll onto the side. I'm going to come down to the earth. Just really go cross fiber through that as I roll towards the ground. And then just back through center. And then I'm going to take this leg, and almost like I'm running, I'm going to just continue that motion of running so that the tissues can do the same thing they would do as if I was out there on the track or the trail. And just releasing some of that fascia, some of that tension that's gripping. And then I'll take the back leg and place it forward. And similarly here, I'm just going to take the heel and move it towards the glute, right towards the butt. And same thing. You may even roll the balls closer to the quad here as you continue this motion. Really releasing that tension around the front and the back of the IT band. And a lot of people get tension all the way down here, right to the knee area, so you can continue moving this down and doing the same thing with this closer to the knee, continuing the similar movements and finding that super tender spot, right, and trying to go through it or breathing into it. And just continue to explore on that IT band for yourself. This area can take a lot of pressure. It can take 600, 700 pounds of pressure. So you shouldn't hurt yourself. Can't say never, right? So you got to be aware in your body when you start to use these things. But just do that for a few minutes. Get up, take a walk around, and notice the difference you have made from just a few minutes on the ground. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll see you all next time.